There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been fighting ways to get away, to see you again, see you again. We got millions of reasons to let it all go. Hope we're not too broken. I know I'm not always strong. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been fighting ways to get away, to see you again, see you again. We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow.
What is going on, everybody? second night of MLB coming right back at you guys. We have TJ back in the house. Yesterday he was watching from his car. Today he is not in his car. He's participating from his apartment. Welcome back, TJ. First of all, how have you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. A lot going on. I moved back to Massachusetts. Started a new position at my company. Been working every day since COVID started. So I've been super busy. As you know, we've stayed in contact throughout. I've been doing my best to try and help you as much as I could. But I'm back now. I'm pumped for finally a real sport. Obviously, I know we've had MMA, we've had golf, we've had NASCAR, but the first of the four major sports has started last night. So I'm excited to break down baseball with you as much as I possibly can. As you know, I won't be able to make every stream, but when I can be here, I will be here. So yeah, man, I'm excited. And just real quick, I just want to say a huge tip of the cap to you and everything you've been able to do so far over these last 4 months since COVID started. For everybody that's listening and for all of Matt's Patreon members. When we started this, Matt wanted to make this a full-time job, and we always joked about it. In the back of my head, I was always thinking like, yeah, this is great to do on the side, but like I don't know about full-time, and he's completely proved me wrong, especially over these last couple months when sports went away. We had things like League of Legends, Call of Duty, and Matt has been an absolute beast, just pumping out sheet after sheet, leverage for you guys, videos, the whole 9 yards, live streams now with Kevin for MMA. So just a huge shout out to you, Matt, and everything you've been able to accomplish to keep this thing going and this dream going for us. So, yeah, man, it's been awesome to kind of be behind the scenes and just watch you work just day in and day out. Half the time I text you and you're too busy to even answer me. So I know you're staying busy, and just everything you've been able to accomplish so far has been great. So that's about the only time I'll compliment you. So
I was about to say I'm about to record this clip. This is going to be uploaded to YouTube and forever put into my favorited videos. First of all, thank you. First of all, I don't want to say thank you. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody on Patreon and everybody on Discord, because first of all, I was in a very bad spot in my career where I was in between jobs and I did not know what to do. Then the whole COVID thing hit, right? And I was forced to make a decision whether to do this full time or not, either go all in or all out. And I went all in, and I went all in on the thing called League of Legends, as you just talked about, and it was a huge stepping stone for this company. Now we're at the top. I mean, we're right up there with all the big dogs in the industry, and I like to consider ourselves, one of the best in the industry, one of the fastest growing. And again, hats off to every single person within this community subscribing to the channel. Every one of you has helped get this far, helped get us to this point. And yes, we will be doing this full time going forward. At least I will. And TJ will be on board within the next year, right, TJ? You're going to be doing this full time at some point. It's just a matter of growing this brand and just continuing, on. We have to see what NFL season is going to look like. It's going to be me, TJ, and Kevin breaking down everything, and it's going to be a blast. So now that we have, I guess, quote unquote, real sports back, I mean, it's just full force ahead. So I'm ready to break down MLB. I know that TJ is new-ish to MLB. We did it last season, but he's definitely a lot more comfortable with NBA. So I'm going to be starting out by just talking about my favorite plays in the slate, and then TJ can jump in. I also see the Nightbot jumping in here. If you guys don't already know, I put a new Nightbot in the YouTube chat because when you guys grow a brand, you get a lot more haters, unfortunately, just people that will come in here and troll the YouTube section. So the Nightbot does get rid of some of the unnecessary comments, and he does
take them out, Nightbot.
Yeah, and if you type in all caps, which I've seen some of you got a little hype when you saw TJ, he deleted your comment, so I do apologize for that. So I do apologize. Let's go ahead and start out with the chalk. The chalk is, unfortunately, and TJ has to be on the stream for this. I know. I might have to mute him. It's against the Orioles, and it's his Boston Red Sox. They should absolutely throttle the Orioles. I'll just say that right now. I will still watch the game. I just hope that they're not the most optimal team on the slate for GPP options, but they are a very smart team. They are actually underpriced. So if we go here, switch all the way over to the Red Sox. I'm going to go ahead and not include all teams but Boston and just take a look at some of these salaries. I mean, we're looking at a 1 through 5 here, 3,800 in the starting top of the order. We have a 4,800, 54, 49, 38. I'm sorry, but if you have a 6.06 run total, your price tag should be in the 5,000s at least. Okay, so you're getting a discount on some of these players. JD Martinez, prime spot, 34% owned, automatic cash lock. All these guys are set up for success. If we switch over here to Plate IQ, as you guys know, I use this as one of my favorite comparisons for stats. We look at Court IQ for NBA. They have Plate IQ on Roto Grinders for something. It's a similar kind of metric for measuring MLB stats. If we look over to the Baltimore and Boston matchup, we have the Boston hitters. You just see a lot of green. A lot of green against Malone, which is supposedly the Orioles' ace. He's not an ace, guys. He is pretty bad. If you guys remember back to last season, he played for Seattle. Seattle had a miserable season, and he is horrible against lefties. We have a lot of lefties in this lineup. 1, 3. Devers is a kind of in a nice spot here because Devers is at $5,400, which will scare a lot of people off of that price tag. I do think that if he is in a good spot here tonight, which he is, 3.3% ownership is why I haven't pegged that. I'd say the only really good GPP play for Boston, if you guys want to load up on Boston in cash, though, take some of these cheaper options. TJ, I know you're going to agree with this, but do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, well, obviously the Red Sox are going to be chalk tonight, and for good reason. Going up against a pitcher coming over from Seattle and Malone. Struggles against lefties and righties, actually. So definitely a team that you want to target in terms of cash. Going to carry a great deal of ownership. Talking about the Red Sox. Obviously, it's going to be the first game without Mookie Betts. Saw him last night in a Dodgers uniform. Pretty tough to swallow, but, you know, it is what it is. It's kind of clear now that he did not want to be in Boston. Yeah, man, in terms of cash, I feel like you can't go wrong with any of these guys. You got Benintendi, you got JD, Devers. I've been hearing rumors that Devers has put on a little bit of weight. I think that's only going to help to his slugging and his home runs this year, hopefully, in this condensed 60
He's a small guy, isn't he?
Say it again?
He's a smaller guy, too, isn't he?
Like in terms of height, or
yeah, height.
Yeah, but he's a little pudgy. He's always been pudgy, but I guess he put on a little bit of weight over this quarantine.
Got it.
A guy like Chavez at what is he? $3,000?
Yeah, he's at 3,000. He's actually drawing the chalk for first base.
And I definitely wouldn't mind taking a stab with guys at the end of this order, like Jackie Bradley and Peraza that just came over from the Diamondbacks. So, I mean, with one of the highest implied team total overs for the Red Sox, along with the Astros, I mean, they are chalk and for good reason. So I can definitely get behind these guys for cash. Probably somebody I want to avoid in GPPs. I'm not sure if you're on the same boat with me, Matt, but
yeah, definitely avoid them.
If Devers is only showing at 7%, like, I'll definitely take him in GPPs at 5.
Now you're looking at Roto Grinders ownerships, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so they're a little different from Fantasy Cruncher, but Devers is still showing 3.3. I think he'll be closer to 7% that you alluded to. If we're looking at over-unders, we're looking at the Dodgers at 5.6, and then next is Houston. However, they are supposedly going up against the Aces, and like I said, you can consider the Orioles ace Malone, but we know that he's really not ace-worthy. He is very, very bad. I think that's going to drive up the ownership in general. So, again, if we look at the second highest implied over-under on the slate, it's going to be with the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, it's just hilarious. The way that DFS works, it's a huge drop-off. I mean, we're talking Muncy is the only high-owned guy in this lineup for good reasons. I think the first base position is very thin, 25.2%. And then we're looking down. Betts, your boy, is next, but he's only at 7%, 3% for Turner. Bellinger at 16% for an all-star. You're looking at Seager at 5%. I mean, a great pivot right off the bat here. If you're looking at just straight-up stacks, we saw what they could do against San Francisco last night, putting up 8 runs. I was hoping that wasn't going to happen for my GPP sake, but it did. And I hope that they repeat history again tonight. Again, a great option. If we're looking at Houston, we know that Houston can just put on the throttle. And this is, again, we know what's been happening with the Houston Astros in the offseason. We know with their cheating scandals, they're going to get hit a lot all season long, a lot of walk bats. That's just really good for DFS. They could get overlooked. I think that you'll see the over-unders on Houston in general fluctuate between about 5.5 to 7 all year long, just for that straight-up reason. depending on the ballpark that they're hitting in. And again, just a lot of leverage right off the bat. A lot of casuals are coming back playing MLB for the very first time, and a lot of them here in our Patreon. So hopefully we can help you guys with an edge tonight. But you got to think, a lot of casuals, they're looking at the Vegas odds. They're looking right at Boston. They're looking right at the Orioles. Orioles stink, target them, and they're going to be playing them in pretty much everything. For big GPPs, I'm going to be avoiding somebody like Boston. And quite frankly, the ownership is really, really low on these other guys. I think pretty much everybody is in I think everybody's a great option after that. Cleveland is drawing a little bit of ownership. And then if we're looking in terms of straight-up ownership and not looking at the odds, we're then looking at somebody, another stack like Minnesota, the Padres, which are drawing some ownership, which is actually kind of iffy. I think it's just because of their price tags. We're looking at San Diego in a very weird spot. People like Tatis. Tatis is an all-star. He's fantastic. Had one of the best seasons last season, hitting in the first spot against Bumgarner. They're projected at 4.29, but they have a ton of ownership. Boston, San Diego for your fillers, and Minnesota. I've seen a lot of Minnesota in all my builds. I guess the next question is, TJ, for pitchers. So if we scroll over to pitchers for cash, there's a lot of options here at the top, a lot of aces. But in terms of like price tags, Verlander makes the most sense because he is by far the best pitcher in all of MLB. He's still at 11.4, and that will be the lowest he'll be all season. He's going to be hovering in that 12K price range. We look at Flaherty at 9K, which is a discount for a very good pitcher against a very bad hitting team. Bieber for Cleveland going against Kansas City. Kansas City is bad as well, and he also has good matchups. If we switch over to Play IQ, which I'll do in a second, Henny is the only guy that doesn't really make sense to me at 8,000 going against Oakland. Oakland, bad ballpark, I get it, but Oakland's a good hitting team, and Henny is just, I mean, he's okay. He's average, but he's nothing special. People are looking at his price tag, and they're going to be on him. Verlander, Flaherty, chalk. Bieber, chalk. After that, I think everything else is up for GPP. I know I just kind of went on a rant. Do you have anything to add as far as? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm used to doing it by myself now.
The train was on the tracks. I didn't want to even try and one quick tidbit I wanted to touch on. Where was it? I'll go back to it. So in terms of pitchers, who I really like tonight is Jack Flaherty. Going up against this Pirates team that doesn't have Marty. They don't have Dickerson anymore, and they don't have Polanco in the lineup tonight. So Flaherty had a 34% K rate last year and 6.3% walk rate in the second half of 2019. He threw 92 pitches in his last outing before the opening tonight. So I'm definitely all in on him in terms of cash and GPPs at 9-1. I think he's, the sixth highest in terms of pricing?
Good question.
Fifth or sixth?
He is sixth.
So him and Verlander for cash I really like, and I also like him for GPPs. And then you mentioned you were talking about the Dodgers. Where was it? Oh, so Samardzija last year.
My boy.
What?
Samardzija, Notre Dame, my boy.
Yes, so Jeff Samardzija last year, 47% fly ball rating and 40% hard hits to lefties. And I mean, this Dodgers team is just oozing with lefties. You got Bellinger, you got Muncy, you got Jock Peterson, you have Seager. So guys like Bellinger and Muncy are two guys that I want to target all for cash, and I mean for GPPs too if their ownership percentage is going to be down. So that Dodgers team as a whole, I just want to every lefty I can for the Dodgers. I want to try and fit into some of my lineups. Samardzija clearly struggles against lefties, so that's kind of what I want to be targeting for GPPs. But yeah, for pitchers, I definitely like Flaherty at 9-1. I think that's probably too cheap. I like him more than I do like Bieber. And then Verlander, obviously, the one thing I'd be worried about with Verlander is, what are we going to get out of him tonight in terms of pitch count?
That's a great, yeah.
So that's why paying up for him at 11.4 maybe in GPPs might be iffy. But, I mean, he had a 40% strikeout rating last season. So he's definitely the safest pitcher if you can squeeze him in at 11.4. If you can't, I definitely would go down to Flaherty at 9-1.
That's a big question, and with this whole pandemic, it's definitely going to screw up everything.
And that's with everybody. I mean, the pitch counts. We saw guys come out of the games early last night. Obviously, Cole and Scherzer looked pretty good last night with that game ending in the fifth. I think they got to the top of the sixth before they called it.
I was actually surprised. They were talking about him going a little bit further. Same thing with Cole.
And then Cueto and May obviously exited a little early last night. So we could see that from the beginning of off these first couple games until these pitchers really get into form. But it wouldn't surprise me if Verlander wins seven innings tonight. Like I said, I think he's your safest play, and then I definitely like Flaherty.
That's a great transition because I want to talk about something else too. I think the aces that are going to be held back are the teams that are in a serious. They're seriously going to be considered for playoffs. So Verlander, great, obviously, a great example because Houston's going to be in the picture. Bieber's going to be in the picture with Cleveland. But if you scroll down here, and I want to give you one of my favorite GPP options, Giolito, and yes, I pronounced that right because I looked it up.
Yep.
Giolito is phenomenal. Had a great season. One of the bright spots here for the White Sox, but I hate to break it to you Chicago fans. They are probably not going to be in the contention, at least from what I see just looking at the roster. Yes, they got a little bit better, but Giolito, I think he's a great GPP option against Minnesota. A lot of people are going to be off of him because he's going against Minnesota. But, I mean, man, this guy he's great. I mean, if you look at his stats, versus lefties, .243 weighted on base average for ISO, a .155, lets up no power. I mean, the lefties here, it's like a hit or miss for him. And then against righties, a .311 and a .181. So again, very conservative numbers on letting up power against Minnesota hitters here. And it's also at White Sox Stadium, so that's not a hitter-friendly ballpark. I do like him for GPPs. I like him because of his ownership. His ownership is so darn low that it just makes for a very, very good GPP. If you guys are looking for somebody that probably won't get taken out as early as some of these other guys, Giolito, they might put him out there. And again, that's all speculation. But if there's somebody that's going to be put out there for the long haul, if he's doing very well, Giolito, lock him in. GPPs. That's my call.
I like it. High risk, high reward, baby.
Absolutely. Now, I guess we can transition into GPP stacks. I don't really know if you have done much research. I guess I can start talking about it as far as the stacks. Now, for you guys that are Patreon users, you guys know my favorite leverage stacks. Don't worry. I'm not going to give them out here on stream. But I will say that depending on ownership, use those leverage stacks to your ability, which means if you guys target a very low-owned stack, very low-owned, only put those in big GPPs, please. Don't target those low-owned GPP stacks in small GPPs because you'll be the only guy that does it. It's probably not going to happen because that's the reason they have leverage. Nobody wants them, okay? But if they do go off big GPPs, it'll earn you a higher rate of return, okay? So with that being said, let's look at some of these teams that are flying under the radar. One of my favorite games, just in general here, Milwaukee and Chicago. Let's talk about this. We have Hendricks. We have Woodruff, which is also carrying a decent amount of ownership, by the way. Very soft spot here because these guys on both sides of the ball are fantastic hitting teams. We know that Chicago and Milwaukee are both playoff potential teams, and they're just full of studs. You look up and down, at least on Play IQ, you guys are looking at on my screen here. Any one of these guys could get a relay going. Any one of these guys could put up a good amount of runs, and these aces could get pulled pretty early if they feel like they're getting throttled, okay? I do like all these guys. I like both sides of these rosters, and I really like Chicago just in general because they've always come in overpriced, which means lower owned for JPPs. If we look here, I mean, we look at all of these spots here. The ISO is all above 0.2. If you guys don't already know, ISO gives a good indication on how far you can hit the ball. Weighted on base average gives the probability of getting on base. And if you just look up and down here, not a good matchup here for Woodruff or Hendricks. I mean, all these guys are in very prime spots. All the lineups have been confirmed. Yelich is right here. You guys know how good Yelich is in the 2 spot. It looks like he's moved up from the 3 to 2. I guess that is for the time being.
Who is this?
Yelich.
Yeah, he hits out of the 2, I'm pretty sure.
He's a beast. Last year, I believe he had a 3, though, didn't he?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. My mistake.
Just the 2 spot.
All right, so as far as GBPs, do you have any teams in mind? Or do you agree with me there?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, when you're looking at GPPs, obviously you want to go to the stud teams. You're looking at the Astros. You're looking at the Red Sox. You're looking at the Dodgers. You're looking at the Indians. Did you just mention the Phillies?
I did not, but that's a good point.
I really like this Phillies team with their new lineup, adding Jay Bruce, adding Didi Gregorius. A lot of power coming there with Harper and Real Motto. So Philly against, I mean, I don't even want to try and pronounce his last name because I always get it wrong. Alcantara, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Yeah. So with Aaron Nola on the mound for them, for Philly, I definitely like maybe a potential Philly stack. I mean, a guy like Bryce Hoskins is showing some ownership, as is Bryce Harper, and rightfully so. But if I can get 5 of those guys with, maybe not starting off with McCutchen at 4-6, but maybe getting Gregorius on the other side of that in the 5 spot. So going like Hoskins, Harper, Real Motto, Gregorius, and then Jay Bruce at the 7. Like, that's a stack that I'll definitely be running tonight. Because a guy like Jay Bruce has a lot of power, as does Gregorius, but Gregorius doesn't strike out as much as Jay Bruce. So both those guys sub 4. Definitely a team I want to attack tonight for GPPs is going to be Philly. And another sneaky team that I kind of like are the Chicago White Sox. Adding Encarnacion and Grandal to their lineup, throwing in Jose Abreu and Yoan Moncada, old Red Sox, is another team that I think I want to attack. I mean, Edwin Encarnacion, 37 years old now. And, I mean, we saw what he did again for the Yankees last year and the Indians. The guy just raw power. It's either he's striking out or he's hitting a home run. So I think the Chicago White Sox showing some sneaky ownership percentage. Matt, I'm trying to look it up right now. I have like 19,000 tabs open. I gotta get my computer. Guys, a little tidbit. I ordered a computer so that I can start doing live streams myself if needed for something like basketball. And Matt told me to get a specific computer, and I bought that computer, and that computer had no HDMI port, so I had to return said computer. So I was a little frustrated with Matt, but that's okay. So yeah, against Berrios, I mean, it's definitely a tough matchup for the White Sox, but those ownership percentages are super low, so I'll definitely take some chances on that. I mean, Edwin Encarnacion at 5K is a little egregious, but like I said, definitely home run potential. If they can get Berrios out of that game quick, too, Minnesota's bullpen ain't that great. So that's also a team that I want to attack as sneaky GPP. So White Sox and Philly, sign me up.
Yep. It's funny because you're preaching to the choir for some of you Patreon members out there that are watching. So I will say that. We also haven't considered the weather, because the only concern that we have is actually in the Philly game, but majority of the storms have already passed in Philly, according to Kevin Roth, the man from Brother Runners. So right there. So it will drive down ownership for sure. People won't even risk it. Some people just straight up don't even play the games that have any kind of rain potential whatsoever. But again, if they're the optimal stack, guess what? You're the only person on that stack. Right now, low postponed risk. It looks to be yellow status, which means lower than a 10% postponed risk. I like those chances, so I will definitely be playing Miami and Philly. I don't see any kind of potential for what we saw last night. Last night was a bit disappointing because Kevin Roth came out and said that game wasn't going to be postponed. By the way, Michael, thank you so much for the subscription.
Thanks, Michael. Matt, and real quick,
sorry.
Alcantara actually struggles a little bit more against lefties than he does righties, so always good for Philly's guys, Harper, Jay Bruce, etc.
There you go. But yeah, like we said at the very beginning of the video, Boston has all the ownership tonight, and rightfully so, just has way too much. Anything else in GPPs is in play, I feel like. If Boston is the top stack tonight, I'm going to be very disappointed, because out of 22 teams, you're telling me that one team is going to be in the optimal? No way. I like the chances tonight. If I had to give a percentage chance, I believe I was looking at 12% chance for Boston to actually be the top stack tonight. I like those odds. I'm playing everything else in GPPs. I'm playing all Boston in cash games, and I'm playing Flaherty, I'm playing Verlander, cash, Giolito, GPP, one of my favorite GPP targets, and yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much does it for GPP hitting for me. First of all, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. I haven't stopped for a while. Thank you for all the people shouting out TJ. TJ gets a lot of love. He got a lot of love while he was gone that I didn't tell him about. I didn't want him to get a big head. Okay, so thank you guys so much for all the support. We just got done talking about how much we really appreciate all the community out there, all the subscribers, big and small, all the Patreon users, again, all the free members as well. So if you guys would like to show your support, please hit that subscription button and please smash that like button. We have a lot of things planned. TJ may have something funny planned here for upcoming videos. again, we want to make sure this is not just us spitting out stats. We want to make sure this is an interactive experience. Feel free to ask any questions, guys, and we want to keep you guys entertained.
Real big stats, guys.
Yeah, really big stats.
Spreadsheets and stats, man. That's how it gets done.
Yeah, also, NBA will be back next week, I believe. Is it next week? It is 31st. Next week. 31st. Yeah, so it's literally a week.
Matt, we haven't talked about this, but just a little tidbit. That is my mother's birthday, so I don't know my availability for that.
That's perfectly fine. Take that day off.
Also, the frustrating part about those last 8 games for NBA is that they're going to be going on through a majority of the day. So the schedule is a little wonky. I don't know if you've taken a look at it at all, but before playoffs, I mean, there's day games on. So I don't know how Draftkings is I don't know if they're gonna do all day featured slates or what have you. But until playoffs, it might be a little tough for me to cover in terms of streams. But we'll talk about that at a later date, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know what the slates are going to look like. I would assume that Draftkings is going to extend it throughout the entire day and then break it apart. We know that they like to take a lot of different slates and break them up obviously, because they're a company, they want to break it up. So I'll be breaking all those down in a video format. If you guys also haven't already, please check out my advanced settings tutorial for MLB. Again, you don't have to be a Patreon user to use these settings. I went back and I went over from start to finish about 45 minutes on how to break down your lineups for MLB, what your stack settings should look like, 5-man stacks, utilizing ownership to differentiate yourself in GPPs, all that good stuff. So feel free. I actually just posted that. I've literally been on air or recording a video for 4 hours today so far. Got done their MMA video. If you guys are looking forward to MMA and looking forward to hearing Kevin break down some more videos, you guys have been showing a lot of love in those videos. Again, we just posted that as well. So all that is coming down the pipe. I'm going to be working nonstop even more now. I'm going to try to cover esports. I got a question in the chat. Are you covering League of Legends videos anymore? We are not. However, we cover every single slate on Patreon. Reason is because we just want to cover the more popular sports, unfortunately.
Yeah, guys, get on. I mean, if you're not already a Patreon member, $20, you get Matt's leverage sheets. You get an invite to Discord. It's definitely worth the money. So
you get to see TJ roast me every once in a while. It's fun.
Yep.
Fun
you get
stuff.
to see me and Matt throw emojis out. But Matt, we have a couple questions here talking about catchers.
Good question.
For me, I like Romano batting cleanup for Philly. For cash, I feel like it's a little bit tougher of a spot. I feel like people might pay up for Romano. I'm seeing a guy like Rob Brantley for the Giants. He's only 2K, so if you want to punt your catcher's position, that's what I would recommend. And then a guy like Yadier Molina at 3.6, I feel like that's pretty cheap against Musgrove for St. Louis. I mean, I'd love to say Vasquez, but 4.7, I feel like I'd rather pay up to 200 for Romano. I don't know if you agree with me on any of that, but I feel like the catcher position's pretty tough.
Let me refresh my ownership real quick and it looks like the Awesemo live stream just got let out because we're getting a huge boost in viewers. So, guys, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll be breaking down every single MLB slate going forward. NBA, really do appreciate the support. If this is your first time to the channel and you like what you see, again, consider hitting that subscribe button and signing up for Patreon. Real quick, I want to talk about ownerships in the catcher's position because it is very spread out. Like, there's no standout catchers. Like, yesterday, it was obviously Sanchez because he was a beast, and he always is a beast, and then dropped to 0. Real Muto, 9.7% is actually the highest owned, and I guess I can get behind that. 4.9 because he's actually a good hitter. You're not taking, like, I'm not saying Vasquez isn't. I'm just saying Real Muto has a very good reputation of being a good hitter. Perez down here, I guess, at 3,700, but he's going against Bieber. There's really not too many options to choose from. So I like your strategy there, TJ, in taking a punt play if you have to, saving some salary in that position.
Pay up for somebody like Verlander if that's the route you want to go.
Yeah, or there's always that one catcher on the slate that hits a homer and nobody takes him. So I mean, feel free to just take any catcher you want tonight. Save some salary. I'd focus on the other positions. There's a lot of other positions. I know first base is a little thin here. Muncy, Chavez, Hoskins. I mean, those are the only guys I'm looking at tonight in terms of ownership and cash.
Yep, I agree. I don't mind a guy like Goldschmidt for GPPs if he's going to be 5%.
Yeah. Top value hitters. Good question. Let's go ahead and look at that. Devers. That's not value. We're looking at cheap options. When you talk about value, I guess we kind of have to talk about that real quick. So if we're talking about value, are we talking about 3,000 under? Because in NBA, I mean, that was a good question. I think we ended up determining that a value play was what price tag for NBA, 4,000 and below.
Probably 4,000 below. I feel like anything under maybe like 3,500 for baseball, but like a guy like Chavez at 3K, that's much too cheap. Even Benintendi at 3.8, batting leadoff, that I feel like that's too cheap. You got Peraza too at 2.8. I mean, any of those Red Sox cheaper hitters are somebody that you can plug and play, especially in terms of cash, and they'll probably carry a decent amount of ownership.
Yeah, I'm looking through here.
I mean, Manny Machado's really cheap too at 4K.
That's another thing. If you guys want to talk about
that Padres stack, dude.
I was about to say that Padres stack is actually coming in at the second highest owned, and that's surprising just because of their over-under, but I get it because they're cheap. So if you guys are running out GPPs, I don't know if I'm all aboard them. They might be a little bit inflated. Again, I have to update everything. And by the way, we're going to be on stream for about another 5 minutes or so. So get in your last-minute questions. I have to update everything on Patreon, and I actually have to put in my own lineup. So that's the reason we're going to be getting off just a little bit. Usually we're going to be streaming around 5 to 6, 5:30 to 6:15, depending on whenever TJ gets home or if he can even make it. But we'll keep you guys updated. So this will be an everyday thing. And we'll go ahead and stay around for any last-minute questions. And then I believe we are signing off. And nonetheless, I think this is a very successful stream. Guys, thanks for showing up today.
Although I moved, Amanda came with me, and she's trying to break into the door, and she's at the window, like, peering in, just being annoying. So if anybody heard knocks, I do apologize. That is my clinging girlfriend, I guess I'd call her.
Yeah, and if you guys hear dogs barking, you guys already know their names, unfortunately.
Yeah, Eddie and Michael.
Carl and Ellie.
I know. Matt, favorite outfielder, $3,600 and less. Cheaper than $3,600.
Let's look.
I wish you said $3,800 because I would say Benintendi.
Upton hitting in the 4th spot against Montez. Not bad, but he's a beast because he uses steroids.
I would say Piscotty. That'd be my pick for Oakland. I like that Oakland stack against.
Yeah, Oakland. You know what? Oakland is always so sneaky. They are so under-owned all the time, but they're so good.
They got some good power, man. They can rough up that lefty.
Yeah.
Chris Davis, Matt Chapman.
Ramirez from Miami, if you're looking for a low-owned gem against Nola. I mean, there's a decent amount. Oh, Santana from Cleveland, 7th spot though. He'd be carrying some ownership. That's surprising in the 7th spot. If you're looking for a chalk one, that's definitely a value hitter.
Value second base. Again, what did we dictate as value?
Top 2 pitcher plays.
I think if you're looking for cash, Peraza at 2.8 is probably your guy. I feel like that's really cheap. It's kind of all.
I'll answer the pitcher question real quick. Top 2 plays at the pitcher position for cash. It's going to be Verlander and Flaherty. For GVP, I like Giolito. I keep on saying Giolito. Giolito is my favorite GVP option tonight. I do like him. I like him as a player.
Yeah, are you going to have any of Malone in your lineups at 4K?
No, absolutely not.
No, not at all. Not like a Cueto situation where, just hoping that he can get 4 strikeouts and go 4 innings and, not get roughed up too much?
I probably will somewhere, but again, I have to look at the leverage sheet.
Yeah, I feel like that's so cheap, and, God forbid he has an inning where he gets, 2 Ks and a fly ball, and then if he gives up a couple runs and he does have a couple strikeouts, I feel like it might be able to pay off immensely, especially with all these batters on these high-priced batters on the slate too.
It's one of those things where, like,
I'm gonna fool around with it for sure.
I like to get contrarian, but I also don't like to be stupid, and I feel like that might be the borderline of being stupid.
Yep. I feel like it's right on that line. But I like to dip below stupidity. I like to go below that line sometimes. Stupidity is kind of where I kind of flourish. So I will definitely have some Malone.
This is my bold prediction. I feel like the optimal lineup is going to have a low-owned stack. It's going to be one of these teams that's going to be annoying, like Oakland, and appear in the optimal. But the pitchers that are going to get it done are somebody that's going to fly under the radar, somebody like Paddock, somebody like Lynn, somebody like Giolito, that's going to extend the game. Teams that aren't really playoff worthy, that are going to put out their ace because they can and because they don't really expect to go anywhere. Yes, Malone could be one of those guys, but he probably is going to stink it up. Somebody like that's going to extend their pitch count, and it's going to surprise all of us, and everybody's going to ask why they didn't start that player. It happens in the NBA all the time, right? But for me to sit here and say Verlander is going to be in the optimal stack, I don't know about that. I don't know if Verlander will. Like you said, he might have a 4 to 5 inning pitch length. So I don't really see as much upside with those pitchers. Yes, Verlander's amazing. Yes, he could strike out every single player he goes up against. But again, it is my bold prediction. That's all. Hendricks, another great GVP option for Chicago. I feel like Chicago is going to make or break you tonight. Chicago-Milwaukee game. That's another bold prediction.
Someone asked about Eovaldi.
I was about to say that. Yeah,
He hasn't looked great. I mean, I was hoping Erod would be able to go tonight and be our opening day starter. I'm not very high on Nathan Eovaldi right now, to be honest.
I'm not that high either. I'm not just saying that because I'm an Orioles fan. I'm saying that because he's not that good of a pitcher. Sorry, TJ.
I honestly
compared to everybody else. Yeah. TJ doesn't get mad. You can roast the Red Sox. You just can't roast the Celtics. That's where he'll draw the line.
My Celtics. Don't talk about my Patriots.
Or Cam Newton.
I will get over it.
All right. Few more questions, and then we'll go ahead and sign off, guys. So, Woodruff is awesome. Yes, he actually is carrying a decent amount of ownership. Like I said, that game's going to make or break you. I will say that on both sides. Either those pitchers are going to do very well and pitch a shutout, or they're just going to be – it's not going to be a good night. Best shortstop option. Good question. Bogarts. Yes. Seager. Great option.
You like Booger?
Tatis, low owned. Like him. Yeah, I like Booger.
I like Didi Gregorius. Make some noise in his first game with Philly. A little bit of a cheap play there.
Oh, I also like Happ. Yeah, I mentioned that in my video. Ian Happ, obviously, if we go back to plate IQ real quick, it was actually pretty stunning to see him and his stats. Happ, an ISO of .318 and a weighted on-base average of .382. That's actually pretty phenomenal for 123 plate appearances last season. Give me that for a GVP option, for sure. In the ninth spot, absolutely. Switch hitter, Woodruff, like I said, that game's going to make or break you.
Yeah, for shortstop, I just want to reiterate, I like Seager and I like Gregorius. I think those are two good options. Pretty cheap, too.
Stripling, I think that's how you pronounce it. Stripling. It's not Stripling. It's Stripling from the Dodgers. Yes, a lot of people are on him, though. I'm not so high. I'm not as high, anyway. But that's another one of those pitchers that could extend it into the 6th, 7th, 8th inning. I mean, why not? Second base.
Someone asked about Alcantara, too. That's a tough lineup to go up against. He doesn't fare as well against lefties as he does against righties, and you're going to see guys like Gregorius, Bryce Harper, Gabe Bruce. So I would stay away from him, but he definitely has some high upside if he can go out and get some Ks early.
One last question, guys, and I'm going to go ahead and get off. I just saw the time. I'm going to have to update Patreon. I'm going to have to answer some more questions and also make my lineup, so we're going to get off here pretty soon. One last question. You didn't answer the second base pick, right? You did not answer the second base?
I think we already alluded to the second base pick, didn't we?
I don't know. I don't think so. Anyway, I'll go ahead and touch base on it one last time.
Jose Peraza.
Oh, okay.
Wait for the Sox. And then we talk. I mean, Muncy has first base, second base eligibility, so if you got the money for Muncy, I would throw him in there, leading off.
Yeah, Muncy will be the second chalk option, other than Boston.
Muncy let off last night, right? And then Betts was batting 2. I mean,
yes.
I don't know.
Yep, he let off last night.
Strange, but that'll flip eventually.
Yeah, Muncy's been. I think last season he bounced around between 1 and 5 for some reason. They couldn't get their lineup. They have so many good players. They didn't know who to put where.
Yeah, way too many guys. And we haven't even seen Locks, man. Just wait till he's in there too.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off on that note. TJ, any last words?
And with all that being said, guys.
With all that being said.
It was great to be back. I'm excited to start hopefully pumping out some more content with Matt as much as I humanly possibly can. Baseball is going to be a grind with this 60-day schedule. I feel like it's going to be a little different. So once we find out leverage, crunch some more numbers, and start getting some data for this 2020 season, I feel like things are gonna pick up, and we'll be able to do some good things for you guys for this baseball season. So stick around. Obviously, we got basketball coming up soon. Football's in the mix eventually, and we've been in talks about trying to cover some hockey as well. So for all your sports, you know where to find us. And Matt and his wonky leverage sheets that are just absolutely amazing. So.
All right, and with that being said,
let's cash.
Let's cash, guys. Have a great rest of your day and weekend, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow.
Love you guys.
To be someone else. All we want is please. Giving no time to breathe. This is our identity. We can't help, we're gone. This is our identity.
Hey, can you hear me?